Everybody knows it. Dogs are our best friends. They are the gifts we give ourselves. I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're taking a look at a fantastic book that is all about dogs. Well, actually, about one dog in particular, a dog named Rags. The name of the book is Brave Dogs Come in Small Packages. It is written by one of my favorite guests and one of my favorite authors. Her name is Mary Dunne, and she celebrates this timeless bond between human and dog in her wonderful book, looking at the adventures of her spirited Yorkshire Terrier named Rags. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us once again here today on Spotlight. We thank our team at Prime 7 Media for helping us put her in the spotlight today, and we ask viewers like you to support writers like her by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing her wonderful books. The links are below this interview. Mary, great to see you here today on Spotlight.
Great to be here. I have to correct you on something, however.
Uh-oh, okay.
My dog is Adanta's Sweet Rosie O'Grady.
Oh, for some reason I thought the doggy's name was Rags.
No, that's in the book.
Oh, okay.
But
Gotcha.
my dog Rosie is Adanta's. That's the breeder.
Mhm.
Adanta Sweet Rosie O'Grady.
Okay, sounds like an Irish dog, that's for sure.
Well, definitely an Irish name.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, if she wants to make a guest appearance here today on the show, we welcome her, okay? So anytime you want to pick her up and put her on camera, we'd love to see her. But
Okay.
yeah, well, let's talk a little bit about your brave dog, Rags in the story. And I have tiny little terriers too, little Jack Russell terriers. One
Oh
was
yes.
all,
Mhm.
they're very spirited, very, maybe even
Oh,
more
very.
spirited than Yorkshires. But
I think so.
tell us a little bit about your book.
Okay. The book was not planned.
Hmm.
I was, well, let me back up a little bit.
Sure.
My first book was about living with Parkinson's,
Hmm.
and not about Parkinson's itself, but how it affects friends and family.
Hmm.
Okay. And that was published. And then when my first husband died, I wrote the book to lend a helping paw. And that book is about how pets help us through the grieving process.
Gotcha.
Okay. Because she was my lifesaver,
Yeah.
right, Rosie.
Yeah.
And then the third one was unplanned. I was in the middle of writing to lend a helping paw. And it was very emotional. I got to the point where it was so emotional, I had to stop writing it for a while. And
Mm.
so one morning I got up and I did several things that were out of character. First of all, I picked up a pencil, and
Hmm.
I don't write my books with pencil, I do them on the computer.
Hmm.
And secondly, I started writing on paper. Again, everything I do in writing is done on the computer. And an hour later, I had 20 pages of a book I had not even thought about.
Hmm.
And it was about rags. So
Wonderful.
it was not planned. There was no outline. There was nothing. It just poured out of me. And I didn't even have to stop and think what I was writing.
That's great.
And yeah, and it was edited by a 90-year-old,
Okay.
and she was a former teacher. So she did a wonderful job of editing. And I did many presentations on the book. And, and people with animals, of course, just ate it up. And
Mhm.
so it's been read by people from about 12 to 94.
Okay, great. Well, it's always
So,
interesting reading about dogs and playing with dogs and having dogs in your life. So this was a very inspired book. Um,
mhm.
Tell us what it's like. I mean, you said that words just flowed out of you. For some people, they might think it's difficult to write a story about a dog. I mean, I have two little dogs. I might have trouble writing a story about them. Tell us what your story is about and how it unfolds.
Okay, well, first of all, the dog is telling the story.
Right.
So that allows you a lot of freedom in what you say and do. For example, one part of the book I said Rags knew, and my friend who was editing the book said, "How did she know that?"
Right.
And so I had to go back and say I was lying under the dining room table
Hmm.
and overheard. So you have to think as if the dog really was writing the book.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Okay. So
Yeah.
it starts off, and I don't want to give away too much, but it starts off that Rags is living with an elderly person who comes to Nova Scotia. That's where the book takes place.
Mhm.
And the elderly person passes away, and then it goes from there.
Yeah.
And she becomes part of a family, and so the book talks about things like Christmas Eve, and
Hmm.
the family going and the carolers, and the dog gets kidnapped at one point,
Hmm.
and so a lot of things I feel that parents can read with their children and discuss the items,
Right.
like how would you ever be in a situation where you might be kidnapped and so on,
Mm.
and yeah, so that's basically where it goes. She's very much a part of the family. Meets another dog who's very disobedient and gets into a
Mhm.
lot of trouble. Things that happen to kids.
Exactly. Exactly. So it could be a dog, it could be a kid. It's the kind of mischief that little ones get into.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful. So Brave Dogs Come in Small Packages was actually your third book?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Amazing. Amazing. Al, is Rags loosely based on your own dog, Rosie?
Oh, you should. She just turned around when she heard her name.
There we go. It's amazing what they
um.
know, right?
Oh yes, and I'll give you a little example. If my cell phone rings and I'm not in the room with the cell phone, she comes and gets me to answer the phone.
Amazing. Amazing.
It is.
Yeah.
Yep. She knows
Yeah.
that phone has to be answered, and yeah. If
Yeah.
she's been my own dog is a therapy dog. We visit elderly people
Hmm.
and nursing homes and so on.
Wonderful.
And yeah, yeah. So she also does agility.
Wow.
So she goes down children's slides and jumps through hoops and things like that. So she's done shows in nursing homes and so on.
The people in the nursing home
Mm.
must love it when she comes in because it's just such a bundle of energy, such a joy. So nice just holding a dog, petting a dog. I mean, it'd be hard for me to live without a dog. And this comes from somebody, I was up every 2 hours last night because my dog wasn't feeling well.
Uh-huh.
So
Remember that?
even after doing that, getting up, it's freezing cold, it's rainy, it's getting the dog outside, literally every 2 hours, it's still worth it. I mean, because they bring so much to our lives. I think few people or creatures love you as unconditionally as a dog, right?
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, that's yeah. There's I can say to her, we call when we're talking to her, Rosie. We call Mama. We say Mama, Papa, and can say to her, "Where's Papa?" And if he's not sitting on the sofa, she goes and finds him.
It's
And then
amazing.
wherever it is amazing. And so Rags is he gets into some mischief with this dog who's very disobedient.
Hmm.
And but she's also she's at one point she saw a golden retriever who was a helper dog,
Hmm.
and when her owner would go down to the washroom, then the dog would go walk down with her, and of course Rags thought this was wonderful, so he started doing it for everyone in his family. So there's
Amazing.
a lot of humor in it as well. So,
Exactly. Exactly. Let's talk a little bit about book number one. Your first book was called,
sorrows, joys, and blessings are our life with Parkinson's.
okay. Now tell us a little bit about the book. Do you have Parkinson's? Have you had to deal with that issue, or is this
No,
something?
my deceased husband had
Oh,
Parkinson's.
I see. Okay. Okay.
Okay. And it's with Parkinson's often comes what they call Lewy body dementia.
Right.
So a lot of things, for example, one day he asked me, why don't they sell buttons here?
Mm.
And I said, now, why would we sell buttons? There's so many buttons in the world. And, well, what if I want to go somewhere? So I'm sort of clicking in.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't understand. And he said, well, how can I get on the bus if I don't have any buttons?
Right.
Okay, so things like that affect when you have Parkinson's. So
Mm.
I didn't write about the disease itself, but how it affected life
Yeah. Yeah.
and how it affected life and how you had to think outside the box all
Yeah.
the time. So you sort of throw normal right out the window.
Yeah.
No day is
Absolutely.
normal, and it can change every hour.
Yeah. Exactly. Particularly if the disease affects you mentally as well, like you said, with the Lewy body dementia. That's what
Yes,
Robin Williams suffered from when he died, was Lewy
that's
body
right. Yes.
dementia as
Yep,
well.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Which is interesting that you mentioned that. We just watched that the night before last on TV.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Mm.
And of course, Muhammad Ali also.
Yeah. Yep.
He had Parkinson's. Yes.
Yeah. And also, of course, the guy from Back to the Future, Michael J. Fox.
Yes.
So it's good that I don't want wish ill on anyone, but high profile people having the disease might help in the fight against the disease. You know, I'm sure a lot
Oh,
more research
definitely.
dollars are going that way, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
An interesting thing about Michael J. Fox, he tried to do, I mean, he's a very popular actor. He tried to do a comedy series about Parkinson's and it flunked.
Mm,
Nobody could see any humor in what
right.
people with Parkinson's go through.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, it
I
wasn't
know.
accepted at all. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a debilitating illness, and even though he has it and is trying to make light of it, kind of make
Hmm.
it understandable and relatable, it's still not really the stuff of comedies, really. So I can see why
Not,
that
no, no,
didn't
it's
make
not.
it. That's for sure.
Yeah,
And then your second book was about how your dog, this dog, Rosie, helped you through the loss of your husband, right?
that's right. That's right.
Tell us about that book. I know you said it was very difficult to write. Give us the title one more time, also.
To
Lending a
lend a
paw.
helping paw,
To lend a
the
helping
power,
paw.
the power of unconditional love.
Yeah, yeah,
Because, when you lose someone you love, people sort of set a time limit on your grieving.
right,
And they say, well, it's been a year now, you know, pull up your socks and get on with life.
right,
There's no time limit on grief.
right.
If you've been married to someone for 52 years
Yeah,
and suddenly they're not there, that's a big hole in your life.
yeah, yeah. It's like losing your arm, it's losing a part of you. Yeah,
That's right. And I've
yeah.
been very blessed because God sent me a wonderful gentleman who is now my husband, and that really added a lot of blessings to my life.
Wonderful, wonderful. I'm happy you were able to rebound. But like you said, grief is a long process. There is no time limit on it. Dogs can be very helpful. It's a very interesting coincidence. But when my father died, my mother was gifted a Maltese by my sister, and the dog's name was Rosie.
Oh
So
my goodness, that,
yeah,
that
that's
is a coincidence.
yeah, and she held that dog constantly. It was like her little teddy bear. And
That's right.
Malteses, if you know the breed, are very, very gentle. They're very, very
Oh,
easy
yes.
to hold. Yeah. So
Yes. The
that,
interesting thing is, I told Jim, my deceased husband, he died on December 1st.
mhm,
And I knew what my kids were going to do. They were going to go to rescue a dog and bring it home. I knew
mhm.
that was in my, and I told them, do not go get me a dog.
Yeah.
When I know what I want, I know that I'm going to get a dog,
Mhm.
and I know what I want. I want a puppy that will only love me. It's
Right.
my dog, not a dog that's gone through trauma
Right.
and so on, but a dog that's a puppy. So she was 4 months old.
Hmm.
and she was born on December 3rd. So that put it into sort of a closeness to
Sure.
what I'd
Your
just gone
husband's
through.
passing. Yeah.
And now she's my dog, or she was my dog. She's no longer my dog.
Yeah. She's your husband's dog now?
If she fell in love with my husband the minute she laid eyes on him,
Amazing.
and yeah, she's
Yeah.
all he has to do is say her name, and she's right there beside him.
Amazing, amazing. Well, my dog was hijacked by my wife like that too. I had a little black Jack Russell Terrier, solid black,
Oh,
and I was crazy about this dog, but he chose my wife. And in
yep.
fact, on the day he died, he was very, very weak. He could barely walk. I opened up his crate and I didn't think he'd be able to stand. He stand and bravely walked from the back room where he slept into the bedroom where my wife was sleeping and let her pick him up, and he died in her arms. But
Oh my
it's
goodness.
amazing that that dog, his final
Could get to her.
act was to
Yep.
get to my wife and spend a moment with her. And it was
Oh,
amazing, amazing. And what a special dog that was, a little dog named Shadow. Each one of our dogs has such a special place in our lives. I mean, I think we all have one or two extra special dogs. I think Shadow was the dog, my dream dog. I'll always have dogs. I've always had dogs, but this dog Shadow was my dog. It sounds like Rosie is you're almost like your soulmate dog. You know what I mean?
yeah. Well, she was. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Till she got,
Definitely.
well, even though my wife took over Shadow, he was still my little soulmate, that's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we had a cat for 19 years.
Wow.
19 years.
Amazing.
And one time she was lost. And we believe that cats tend to go off to their own to die.
Right.
And so we thought that that's what had happened. Well, what appeared to have happened is she got locked into someone's garage. And the only way she saved her life, according to the vet, was that she got the condensation off the windows.
Hmm. Wow.
So she had been a big cat, and then suddenly she was like skin and bones.
Right.
So she came into the house, and let's say there were four people in the house. She would go from each one person to another, and she'd go meow 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 meow, and she told her whole story to everyone in the room. It was
That's
so funny
amazing.
that yeah, it really was amazing. And so, but it's interesting that she didn't go hide away to die. She
Hmm.
just went into the dining room, lay down on the rug, and went to sleep.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm currently in my brain working on two books.
Okay.
The first one is a sequel to Brave Dogs,
Hmm.
and it's the the theme from that is Canine Rider,
Okay.
and because of her heroics in the first book, she ends up with a very special gift, and she learns how to ride a miniature horse.
That's great. That's great. And
And
I've
so that,
seen that. I've seen that dogs can do that. So that's
yes,
pretty
yes,
cool. Pretty cool story.
yes. So then the other one is a totally different. It has nothing to do with dogs. It's called The Boy Who Made Music.
Hmm.
And it's about a young man who comes from another country. His mother is Canadian, comes from another country, and where on that island that they live, there's no alcohol.
Hmm.
And so he comes into this group of a high school in Canada, and he affects the people around him with his music.
Hmm.
And he brings with him a recipe for a beautiful drink that's non-alcoholic, introduces this to his friends, and teaches them how to stay away from drugs and alcohol and use sports and music as their enjoyment. So just
That
that's
sounds
still in my head.
wonderful. It's a
Yeah, that's
wonderful
still in my
story.
head. Yeah.
Okay,
So
so they're both in your head, nothing on paper yet.
no.
Okay. Well, in 2024, I've got a New Year's resolution for you. You choose between
Okay.
those two stories and you start tapping that keyboard and start writing. Or do you write on a keyboard or do you write longhand?
Now I write on my computer.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
2024 is the year to bring one of those stories alive. They both sound
Okay.
wonderful. That sounds great. Now, you mentioned to me earlier that you had a message to parents. Tell me a little bit about your message to parents.
Okay. So I believe that every child has is a writer,
Hmm.
a potential writer.
Yeah.
All you have to do is listen to them when they tell you stories about what happened. Some of them are fiction and some of them are true. But when you listen to them telling the stories, you know that they've got stories inside of them.
Yeah.
And I think that with the right encouragement from parents, these children could become prolific writers. Okay. But we
Agreed.
parents often, and me included, just shoo them away, right?
Hmm.
And if you ever heard the song by Anne Murray, who's a Canadian singer,
Hmm.
and a song to look up is Hey Daddy, There's a Hippo in the Bathtub.
Sounds great.
And it's all about, and she talks about the minds of little children.
Yeah.
And if listen to that song, for parents, it's a wonderful song to listen to. So Anne Murray, Hey Daddy, There's a Hippo in the Bathtub.
Okay,
So
absolutely.
so children have these wonderful stories inside of them. And I know one of the things we discussed is when I started writing. I started writing as soon as I could lift a pencil and write.
Mm.
Okay, and so I'd write all kinds of things. And I hate to admit it, but I used to write some other students' essays for them. Not for money, just the joy of writing it.
Right.
So,
Exactly. Exactly.
um,
Yep.
so what parents can do, really should do, is encourage their children if they can write to write. If they
Hmm.
can't write yet, to tell the stories, and you write them for them,
Right.
and then they have the stories. Because as they grow older, they will have these stories there to read and think to themselves, I wrote that. This is what was happening in my life.
Right. Exactly. That's wonderful. I think children are our role models when it comes to writing. We have to remember that child inside us in order to write well. Children
Hmm.
have unbounded imagination, they have unbounded creativity. They're told by their parents and teachers that they have to conform and that this isn't real and this is just your imagination and stop staring out the window. But the kids are
Yep.
the dreamers, the kids are the ones with the ideas. So if we can preserve that part of a child in stories that he or she writes, I think that's wonderful. I think it's terrific parenting advice for sure.
Exactly. That is my son-in-law who died several years ago. He was
Mm.
talking about his three children, and he was right on. He said, Lisa, who's our granddaughter, he said, if she saw a crane, she would be drawing pictures of it.
Yeah,
If our middle grandson saw a crane, he'd be figuring out how it worked.
exactly. Exactly.
But if our oldest grandson saw the crane, he would be crawling out on it, rescuing a damsel in distress.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, and I mean, there's
Yeah.
a perfect description of the three of them.
Exactly, exactly. It's nice that he's so aware of their different strengths, of their different qualities, their different traits, and that encapsulates it perfectly. But Mary Dunn, I want to wish you a very Merry Christmas and a great 2024. I know
Thank you.
you've got a snowy white Christmas there already in Canada, right?
We have, yes, yes, yes.
Oh, okay. Are you
And
able to venture out in that snow a little bit, or do you watch it from the window?
I'm going to watch it from the window, I think.
I think that's
But
a safe way to do it.
I also wanted to mention that
Sure.
my grandson, Larry Gent, he actually became an author as well.
Okay, great. And his name
Yeah, he
is
Larry Gent, Gent,
Larry Gent. Okay. And
and
what
and
type of books does he write?
he writes science fiction.
Okay, wonderful.
And his first book that he wrote is called Never Been to Mars.
Okay, great.
the interesting thing about that is he's got a superhero, but the superhero is not a handsome James Bond type. He's the guy that uses a cane. He's been to Iraq, came back injured. So it's actually quite a fascinating book.
No, that
Oh,
sounds great. I think
yeah,
like a flawed hero is much more interesting than the perfect hero.
that's
And
right.
I think somebody who's literally, you know, lost some mobility and has given part of their body to a cause like a war, makes a much more interesting character as well. So we'll have to look
Yes.
at that. Your grandson's name is Larry Gent,
Yep.
and the name of the book one more time is?
Never been to Mars.
Never been to Mars. Okay, I will look for
Yes.
that to my viewers as well. I hope they look for it as well. Mary, before we leave you today, anything you'd like to add? Anything like our viewers to know?
Anything I'd like viewers to know? I enjoy writing, obviously,
Hmm.
and have all my life. And I'm enjoying life. As you know, I'm 81. I'm celebrating my second year of marriage.
Wonderful. Congratulations on
So,
that.
yes. And one of the most wonderful things that happened in my life recently was I was in Jamaica for a month.
Nice. That's
Oh,
wonderful.
yes.
That's
Oh, yes.
one. That's great.
I'm going back there.
Okay, when do you go back, Mary?
You have a wonderful Christmas.
Okay, you have a wonderful Christmas as well. Let me say goodbye to our folks at home. We appreciate Mary spending time with us today, telling us about all of her wonderful books, especially and including Brave Dogs Come in Small Packages. Check it out. The links are below. It's written by Mary Dunne. It'll give you new appreciation for the little dog you have in your house. Or maybe if you don't have a dog in your house, you might just get one, because I think that is the best gift you can possibly give yourself. It'll get you walking, it'll get you active, it'll get you loving, and it'll get you comfort. What a fun time it is having a dog. Mary knows it, I know it. And to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas, everyone.